All right, here's my first question. In-N-Out or Five Guys?
Man, that is a tough
It's controversial,
toss-up.
right?
It's controversial because I'd like to have the shake at In-N-Out, but I'm gonna have to go with In-N-Out because they do a great lettuce wrap if I'm feeling a little less heavy.
Yeah, a little
Yep.
healthy. Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit more healthy.
A little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to Season 3 of 10 Questions with 10 Pastors. Brought to you by Gateway Seminary. With your host, Tyler Sanders. This episode was recorded live at the 2023 SPC Annual Meeting.
I'm here with Joseph Gibbons. Joseph Gibbons, 2 B's.
That's right, 2 B's.
You are a planter and pastor of Favor City Church in Las Vegas, Nevada.
That's right.
And you're a New Orleans grad, got your MDiv from New Orleans. Here's my first question for you. Can you tell me how you became a Christian?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in a home of a missionary who is my hero. He's a local church missionary. He ran an organization or led an organization in the state of Alabama called FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes.
Oh, yeah.
And the summer between my 8th and 9th grade year, he took me to a camp, and we were just playing ball and having a good time. And the Lord just wrecked me, made me just really aware of my sin and what that meant, and gave my life to Christ there. And it was different all through high school. And that's when the Lord ultimately called me to ministry in high school on that journey.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What are you reading right now?
Yeah, my favorite read lately has been Gentle and Lowly by Dane Ortlund.
That's been a popular one, yeah.
Yeah, it's just an incredible invitation to slow the pace and to say, take that Matthew 11:28 invitation that Jesus gives us, and he says, come to me, all you who are weary and you're heavy burdened, I will give you rest. And just trusting him to be my shepherd has just been the invitation that I've needed as a pastor and a planter at a fast pace.
Yeah.
So
now let's talk about preaching a little bit.
Yeah.
What's your approach, like your big picture approach? How are you thinking about series or big themes? How do you go with that?
Yeah, so big picture, I want to pray through what are the burdens of our church and what are people wrestling with. And as I'm reading through, I love to read the Proverbs, and the Proverbs have a great way of pointing you to other scriptures. And so as I'm reading through the Proverbs and I'm listening to the burdens of our church, God typically will take me to a book. He'll direct me to a theme through a book. And so we're kind of on a long pace journey through John right now. And, I like to see how God will really weave different series and ideas through different books, and we kind of collect them in different chapters. So it's kind of a blend between, I wouldn't call it topical, I would call it exegetical, because we preach through the text, but we want to do that in a way that we're actually just acknowledging and seeing what the burdens of our people are, and preaching. One of my preaching values that I hold really tightly to my chest is that I want to always answer questions that people are actually asking, because I believe the Bible does, and it speaks to our real life, and if we can get into the pages of Scripture, it's going to speak into the pages of our hearts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. What's your week-to-week sermon prep routine like?
Yeah, as a planter, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I bet,
I mean, schedules can get turned upside down. So there's a lot of different obligations, and you're in the grind of you're wearing all the staff position hats. You're raising money, and so there's an element that has to be flexible. But what I've decided to do is guard my mornings, and so every meeting that I can schedule, I try to schedule at 12 p.m. or later.
Yeah.
So I try to schedule my meetings from 12 to 4, and what that does is it leaves my Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings open for sermon prep and for writing. So I try to have my message dialed in and into our production team by 12 on Thursday.
That's good, yeah.
And that gives me the weekend with my family, and I'm not stressing about that. And I open up the page back on Sunday morning and ask the Lord to revive it, and I just had a chance to marinate.
Yeah.
And that's been a good rhythm for me.
That's good. That's real good.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most difficult or challenging passage you've preached so far?
Ooh, man, that's a good question. And you're kind of stumping me on that one. I have to really I'm 2 weeks off right now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I'm in a 2-week break.
Well, I've got another preaching question I could ask.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
tried this one on anyone yet.
Reframe
So
it.
we'll try this one. But I was thinking about it earlier. This may be kind of interesting for people to hear. What do you actually take up when you go up to preach? Like, what do you have in front of you? Do you have a full manuscript? Do you have a page full of messy notes? Is it lots of different colors? What's it look like?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, typically what I do is I like to build my messages inside out, and so I start with the text and then build it into the tension, the application, and so the best way for me to frame that up is I have an iPad that kind of flips up, has a little flip-up stand, and I actually type the document in like a widescreen format, and then I import it into iBooks, and then I just kind of swipe through. And I color code it, so red is scripture, blue, I know that's an on-point screen, and then green is any media cue. So it's a way for me to systematize with my team too.
Oh, so other people can use it. Your media team can use the same thing as a guide.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
So I send it to our creative and our production team, and so they take it. Anytime there's green, they're looking for a picture. Anytime it's blue, it's a point that's on the screen. If it's red, it's on the screen. So
that's pretty good.
That way I know what's coming on behind me.
Yeah, and they know too.
Yeah, and they know too. But I can't click through. I'm too ADD for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you said you mentioned earlier church planners have to wear a lot of hats, have to do a lot of different things. What's a pastoral role that you feel really gifted in, really comfortable in, and what's one that's more challenging or something you're having to work on?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think my gifting, where I thrive and feel just encouraged when I'm actually executing that gift, is when I'm casting vision and when I'm empowering people. And so if I can empower someone to carry out their gift and I can cast some vision for somebody to see a brighter future, I feel like I'm in my sweet spot. You know, in the administrative details, I feel like I can, things that should be light weigh 1,000 pounds. When it comes to even driving tasks to get towards a certain goal, it can sometimes be harder for me,
I understand that.
Which has been a challenge that I've had to get over in church planting.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to do the things you're not great at, and build a team around you and pray for a team to come alongside you.
They can help carry that load.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you tell me a swing and a miss you've had in ministry?
Oh gosh, just one? I think that a swing and a miss would be early on, deciding how much to give away and how much to hold tight. And I think that when we look at our staffing structure and who we're going to hire, how we're going to build our leadership teams, when it comes to what it takes to get a Sunday done, to get ministry activity done, I think that if we had looked first into investing in those leaders, and saying on the flip side of that, here's where you get to carry out that investment that we're pouring into you in these assignments. I think we would have been better served for the long term, even though that would have been harder work up front.
Sure.
So I think that if we could rewind the tape, we do a little bit more of that, but we've got a great team and we're able to implement some of that stuff now. But I think starting with that mentality could have helped.
Yeah. Now, we talked about this a little earlier. You're a seminary grad. What's the thing that if a seminary student graduates and they haven't learned this thing or they haven't captured this concept, what's the one thing they can't miss?
That's a really complex question. I'll just answer it from a church planting standpoint. If as a lead church planter, I'm tasked with some weighty things in terms of, I'm a lead pastor for the first time. I'm leading a new organization for the first time. There's a lot of different complexities. And so I would say coming out of seminary, one thing that really helps me is having a really clear, confident structure in building my sermons and actually and being able to do that efficiently and effectively. And the reason I put that at the top of the list, and some people would not, but for me, I know that if I walk off the stage on Sunday, I walk out at a church on Sunday and I feel like I didn't feed my church. I feel like I really blew it. I feel like, man, we just led this setup and tear down team to pull in all these chairs and put up all
Sure.
this drape and we did all this and I blew it, then I feel like, man. But if I feel like, man, I poured my heart out, I honored the text. I may not have been as articulate as I wanted to be, but I honored the text. I preached the word. I was faithful with what I was entrusted to do.
Yeah.
Then I feel good. I feel good about that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times what I hear is, man, I just don't have enough time to prep these sermons or whatever. And I think when you have the tools that you get in seminary,
Yeah.
to where, you know what, I know how to navigate Logos. I know how to navigate
Right.
commentaries. I know how to
Right.
get the meat quickly.
Yeah.
And be confident that, yes, I'm honoring the text.
Yeah.
I think that's just a tool that we need to run at a good pace. you
Sure.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, that would be invaluable, I think, with the limited time and resources that any planner is going to have, especially the first couple of years, I would think.
right.
Yeah. Now, here's my last question. If you could go back and talk to yourself your first year of ministry, what advice would you give?
Oh, first year of ministry. I would say it's a lot of what I'm learning in this past year. Slow down and focus on your intimacy with Jesus.
Yeah.
And allow that to lead you. Vance Pittman says that all the time to our network of churches. Just, hey, focus on your intimacy with Jesus and allow him to minister out of the overflow of the intimacy that you have with him. And if I could rewind the tape and put that into my heart, I think I would have been less frustrated, less ambitious, just more faithful.
Yeah.
But to an extent, you look at it and you're like, God put faithful people around me that spoke into my life. And so I wouldn't necessarily change anything, but I would give myself that freedom to say, you can take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be okay. He's doing this.
Yeah.
So,
That's great.
yeah.
Joseph, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, man. Honored to be on the podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.